Welcome Cancer to your in-depth monthly forecast for August 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. I'm going to share the event chart right at the start of the month shortly on screen, but before I do, I just want to tell you about a very special opportunity. If you order your unique personal horoscope for year 2025 now, I'll give you the rest of year 2024 free, plus you'll get 30% off and also your life roadmap report. Please see the link beneath this video so you can check this out. If you know your tropical astrology really well, why not check out my draconic version? Same offer, the rest of this year free, all of 25, plus your draconic character analysis, and also 30% off. As this month begins, your ruler the moon is compromised, to be honest, by the energy of Neptune. Neptune's been incredible for you, I feel, since 2012, giving you a real opportunity to expand your thinking and consciousness, perhaps even education, in so many ways. But the square with the moon at the start of this month suggests that one of the things you need to be conscious of throughout August is that things that ordinarily you might be able to turn your other cheek to could just get under your skin a little bit. Also, of course, at the start of this month, you do have Mars and Jupiter in your 12th house, which can be to do with reflection and in some ways needing to step back a little bit. But the 12th house can also be a brilliant area for planning, researching, taking time out to think very deeply. Can be also to do with healing. If you are someone who is psychic or works as a therapist, the combination of Mars and Jupiter, and remember Jupiter can be about knowledge, that are going to come together in an exact conjunction on the 14th, suggests that you can grow your consciousness hugely with their help this month, or perhaps even grow your practice too. But that energy between the moon and Neptune does require some care. And also as we come into the month, Saturn, the other player in your sister water sign of Pisces, along with Neptune, is squaring off with Jupiter. And this suggests therefore that you could encounter someone, perhaps it's going to be about a contractual matter or a legal matter, who may seem to be a little bit more attritional than actually they need to be, which also could get under your skin a little bit. But the Sun and Venus initially, as we start this month, are in the part of your situation to do with finance, self-worth, but also the enjoyment of the good things in life. But Venus too is checked by Uranus at the start of this month. Uranus is in your 11th house. It's probably not, therefore, the best of months to be too speculative when it comes to investments, because Venus can be about money as well as relating, but particularly for you in the second solar house. Whereas Uranus in the 11th house has really been urging you over recent years to take a more radical approach to your future, your ideas, and even your connections. But all of it is very much in a process of change because of that cluster of energy in house 12. And one of the things that Mars can do there is create some tensions around past issues which you may have felt had been resolved. So you may find that your subconscious could be powerfully activated. Now, despite that, Cancer, the Sun actually forges a glorious link to Mars at the very start of this month. How I feel that can work for you, there could be a connection that comes through with someone you used to work with. It could be a boss type figure, someone influential, or your past experiences, knowledge and work can in some ways be restructured in a way which gives you a fresh opportunity. But at the very start of the month, there probably is the need for you to keep doing that background research and, in a way, to be honest, not be too overly and outwardly confident. Now, that's not to say that I want you not to have a sense of self-assurance. It's just that I feel that you're going through a process of refining things and perhaps bringing some things in your situation from the past finally to a complete point of closure. It's going to get easier for you as the month goes on, but on the 4th we do have a new moon. If you did want to supercharge your financial situation, the knowledge that Jupiter can bring in its alliance with the Sun and the Moon is really going to be very powerful. And of course, the Sun in Leo, which it rules, we could argue this is the most potent new moon from a Sun perspective of the whole year. One of the things that you could find is that if you are feeling a little bit out of kilter, or there are some complex issues that you're needing to work through, one of the things you could find rather hard or more difficult to resist is any calorific goodies. Jupiter in the 12th house could see you wanting to feed something that is more psychological, particularly with the Sun and the Moon in house 2. But on the 5th, Venus switches homes. It moves into the sign of Virgo. It's technically debilitated here, but for you it gives you an opportunity to express yourself and use your words carefully. Ironic, really, because Mercury, the planet of communication, goes into its formal retrograde that day, also in house 3. Now, the 3rd house governs things like text messages, emails, anything to do with software, maybe even the hardware that you use. If it's a while since you've decluttered your technical devices, this would be a great opportunity to do it. We know that Mercury retrograde can cause some issues, so if you're booking anything or buying anything online, that's where there could be some potential challenges for you. But you can turn it to your advantage and think, what's the 3rd house about? Well, the 3rd house is about quick communications. Is it an opportunity to catch up on someone that I haven't been in touch with for some while? Or can I do something which just cleans up that part of your situation when it comes to the aforementioned technologies? Now, the position or the angle between the Sun and Jupiter, which can be very lucky, peaks on the 9th. But it's on the 8th, just before then, the Mercury and Venus come into an exact alliance. Don't underestimate, just because Mercury is in a retrograde, that you could have a very important discussion. Maybe it is going to be with a neighbour, maybe it's going to be around a business idea, could even be with a sibling, which is also ruled by house 3, and maybe it's something that's needed to be said for some while. You could also find yourself wanting to acquire some new kit, whether it's the latest smartphone, a laptop, and the 3rd house, funnily enough, can be about bicycles. So if you've long wanted an electric bike, very 3rd house too, very Gemini-like, a great opportunity, because in the sign of Virgo, what you're looking to do is bring some virtue. So if you can move around quicker and more efficiently, that would be a fine time to do it. So don't just see Mercury retrograde as a time to pause everything in your situation. However, what we can't deny is that Mercury does go into a tricky opposition with Neptune. And so therefore, even though your words can carry more charm and persuasiveness in that alliance with Venus, which peaks on the 8th, you still need to make sure that if you're discussing anything more factual, Neptune's ability to distort and shift our perspective, or anyone else's, is going to be heightened. Also, Venus goes into a clash with Saturn from the 17th to the 21st. That could be a key date if you do need to discuss something a bit tricky, whether it's a contract, whether it's something that you've wanted to say to someone for some while. Choose your words with a great deal of care. In the most extreme situation, Venus opposite Saturn could bring a relationship to a close. On the 15th, however, Mercury inverses back into Leo. So those finances, if you have been talking about something, maybe you're going to have to talk some more or think some more. But Mercury does forge a very impressive cazimi on the 19th. A cazimi is when the Sun and Mercury are totally unified. So as we see it from planet Earth, Mercury is this side of the Sun because it's what's known as an inferior conjunction because of the retrograde. The Sun amplifies the brilliance of Mercury. Mercury in Leo can be prideful, so important not to get too attached to our egos around our ideas. But equally, it could just see you glow up an idea that maybe you thought was getting snagged and snared and was encountering these opposition energies in the sign of Pisces, but you can start to make sense of it. The full moon, however, on the 19th does forge a T-square with Uranus. Uranus in that 11th house, very much about being more idealistic, thinking long term, trying to free up yourself in some ways, but the second house position of the Sun and the 8th of the Moon, along with Pluto, suggests that anything to do with who owns or contributes what, if there is a little bit of a disagreement, it could come up and come into the open in the last phase of this month. That said, the Sun moves into Virgo on the 22nd, and that can see us speeding up. On the 28th, Mercury goes direct from its retrograde. If there has been a financial snag, it can start to be resolved. But Venus moving into its second home sign of Libra on the 29th, forging an amazing link with Pluto, suggests if you are someone who does work from home, this could be a positive time for you. Also, if you're trying to get on the property ladder or rent somewhere, good news can come up. Your use of resources can be very skilled. Some kind of big shift can occur at the end of the month. So you can see that this month begins with the Sun and Venus in the second house as being very much initially about your self-worth, your values and money. But there is that energy in the 12th house you just cannot ignore in the guise of Mars, Jupiter and the Moon, which could make you more sensitive. So there may be some subterranean strands of this month that you do need to deal with, but I feel that you will start to gain the traction despite the retrograde to Mercury by the 22nd and start to make more sense of all of this. But it's really, I feel, for you Cancer, understanding that as much as there has been a lot of dynamism around your public role, around your friendships, this is a part of the year when it's what you value and who you value and the sincerity of key players that's really important to you, and your communication in any part of your situation is going to be very, very important, not just because of the Mercury retrograde, but because of the two players in Pisces, which can make you more idealistic. So the best way to deal with that energy is to make sure that you're factually right on the ball, whether it is around a personal relationship or business situation. Stay very sharp around those areas, and as the month comes to a close, things can start to really ebb in your direction. It's been a real pleasure being with you. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. About 50% of people who watch my videos are not subscribers. Please help the channel to grow by clicking that sub button and also that bell notification symbol. And please check out that special offer below.